challenge of my life right now, where my oldest is he's got osteosarcoma. It's a cancer in his bone, in his ankle. And it was a big decision for me to come to Australia this time around because, I'm leaving my sick child at home.
Hey everyone, so I have a pretty important announcement to make that I've sort of been keeping quiet about for 2 months now, since we found out. It is about my cancer, technically. Basically, with the way my cancer works, I have a tumor, and the tumor is in my foot. And basically, the method of treatment for this type of cancer when you have a tumor, a bone tumor, I guess, is you do chemo.
But everyone understands, and he understands the most.
How old is he?
He's 16. He's going to be 17 in June. And it's a big challenge because, you're like, I was in hospital every day for months and months with him, going back and forth. And I'm like, do I go to Australia? Do I go to Australia? Do I go to Australia? I'm like, if I don't go to Australia, what am I going to do? I still have to work. Sometimes people see, oh, you're going out, you're going to Australia, you're having a good time, you're partying, and your family's at home, and especially now your son's ill at home. No, I'm in Australia, so I can give my child what they need, right?
So what is osteosarcoma?
Osteosarcoma is basically a bone cancer.
Wow.
And so it grows on and in the bone. And it's very, very hard to...
So how did you find out about this? Like, what was the symptoms?
His foot was hurting. His foot, his ankle, right? It's in his ankle. And he was complaining. We had gone to Italy last summer, our summer, which was like July and August. And nothing. These kids dancing in the streets, the folk dancing, Artarandale. And, we went on these treks, nothing, no complaining, nothing. Come September, middle of September, a couple of weeks into the school year, because we start school in September, this kid's complaining about his foot. Saying, listen, my foot's hurting. First couple of days, what do you say? Hey, walk it off.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. And after a week, say, this kid's, his foot's really hurting. I said, okay, his mom and I were talking about it. I said, I'll take him to the walk-in. And they, you couldn't physically see anything. It's not like it was red or swollen or anything. And the doctor says, hey, why don't, let's do an x-ray and ultrasound. Okay. Those take some time. It took about a week to get the results, and there was nothing. And then the doctor said, hey, just get an MRI done. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it to my pediatrician, or his pediatrician, sorry. And did that, and the pediatrician had written it off. Say, oh, no, this kid's got nothing. Don't worry, he just needs orthotics. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, there's something there. And no, he needs orthotics. You could tell his foot's a little crooked here. And I'm like, you follow the orders of the doctor.
Sure.
Which was a big mistake. And we got him orthotics, but it takes time. I don't know if you ever had orthotics. There's a mold, and there's time, and you got to go, and it's 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, after you got the orthotics, now we're talking like the end of October.
Right. So it's been 8 weeks of
pain, and we're just giving him like ibuprofen, just kind of swelling, because again you couldn't see the swelling, but the ibuprofen helped, right? You started using the orthotics, and it just got worse.
Wow.
I guess because it was angling different.
Sure,
right?
sure.
And then after like 3 months, from September, basically now December, we insisted. Said, listen, either you get this kid an MRI and test everything in his body, or I'm going to go to the U.S. And pay. I don't care. Because we have free healthcare. It's through our taxes, but it's free healthcare. And we finally got this MRI done in December. It was December 19th. And that night they sent us an email saying, hey, you have a 7 centimeter tumor. We don't know exactly what it is, but you got to go check it out. That's it. The rest is history from there. We got a biopsy done, and he has what it is. I don't know if you know of Terry Fox. Terry Fox is a Canadian back in the 70s or 80s who his leg was amputated completely. And he did this jog across the country. Like, Canada's big
country.
And to raise awareness. And so, we celebrate him every year. There's like Terry Fox Run.
Right.
And the cancer had gotten to his lungs because the evil of this osteosarcoma is the next thing it does is go to the lungs. So, but back then there was no chemo treatments. There was no other treatment. So now my son's doing treatments, and we're not quite sure exactly what we're going to have to do with his foot or not, if we have to amputate, if there's some treatment and so on and so forth. But we've been working hard for months and months and months to come up with a solution.
Wow.
And so, not to have put this podcast into a downer, but
is there anything anyone can do? Like, is there anything that, like, is there anything that helps? Is it sort of now just a matter of following the process that the doctors have laid out?
We're following the process. Listen, chemo is the best thing and the worst thing that you can ever do to anybody because it destroys everything. This kid's lost a little bit of his hearing because of the chemo. It's affecting a lot of things. But, and there are alternatives, but osteosarcoma is specific.
Right.
It's the bone. So if you have a soft tissue tumor that you can either cut out or put radiation or something, it can be, you can reduce it. In theory, if we reduce this, you still have the bone to deal with. Like, there's still going to be a hole in your bone. How do you?
Right.
You can't have a hole in your leg bone, right?
Correct. Yeah, I understand.
So some surgery is still going to be needed, and because it's specifically the ankle, if it was anywhere higher up on the bone, then they could take a piece out, put a piece of titanium, replace. But when you're dealing with feet and hands, you cannot
remove bits, and
you can't remove bits because they're and your ankle is thin.
Yeah.
There's no meat and fat. So when you're cutting things out, you're really cutting out everything. You're cutting out the nerves. And
sure.
So it's been a lot. It's
Wow,
been a
man.
lot. It's been a very stressful time.
I could imagine.
And as a comedian, you still got to hop on stage and make people laugh.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I like to call myself a jester, where the jester,
Yeah.
the life of the jester. The jester lives
Brings
a very sad
entertainment,
life, but
adds levity.
but he laughs. He makes the king laugh, and hopefully, if the king's happy, he gets to survive another day.